I really want to say today really feels like a great day. Remember on the last video, I shared I was touching some grass. Today, all the grass turned green, just like the stock market, right? So I know a lot of you guys are really happy about this. I'm happy about this too. I don't think the bad weather has really passed yet. It's just a lot of uncertainty. There might be another tornado just around the corner. So be more careful about it. Hey, how are you? Here's another episode of USA Update. Definitely feel like the economy has become better, right? Because the sunshine come after the rain. 2025 not only stress out people like you and I, but also stress out the 10 wealthiest people in this world. Yeah, even the top 10 wealthiest men in the world are losing billions in their net worth. But there's one man, the legend, the GOAT, the greatest of all time investor, Warren Buffett, who's been sitting on billions of dollars of cash. He's the only top 10 wealthiest man in the world that has been gaining in 2025. And we can have a look at that together. And I also want to share my thoughts on the recent tension between China and US altogether with you. Now that US is threatening to put another 50% tariff on China, why can't we just have two powerhouses all grow together? Chinese President Xi doesn't have a history of backing down from any of the threat given by US. And if you guys are keen on understanding how the Chinese president think, I would highly recommend the book Sun Tzu, The Art of War, because it will really help you personally when in any negotiating or just everyday life. And according to chapter 3 in the Sun Tzu Art of War, the supreme art of war is to subdue enemy without fighting. The idea is that why waste time swinging a sword when you can win by a bluff? I kind of experienced this firsthand as I grew up in Taiwan until the age of 18. While I was in school when I was a kid, we always have these simulation of war happening. They sound the siren and we all have to go hide underneath our table or our chair or go into the basement, right? What's the reason for that? It's because our friend from China has been shooting all these missiles and accidentally or intentionally landed just right beside our Taiwan is kind of like an island, right? So always been landing around Taiwan, just sending strong messages. And people in Taiwan has been living in fear because of that for the last 30 years, where really nothing has happened, right? Nothing has happened in the last 30 years between China and Taiwan, but really we have seen what happened between Russia and Ukraine. So never say never, right? Now the bigger question I want to ask is there a potential of causing a World War III if this terrorist tension continue to escalate? Now in order to have a war, two countries both have to agree to basically start fighting each other. Now if we look at from the Chinese standpoint, does it really make sense for China to kind of start this war as well, right? From the economic standpoint, it doesn't make sense for China to go to war right now. Why? Because Chinese stock, Chinese real estate are all down. There's a lot of people lost their job. They have the highest unemployment rate in the history right now. They're struggling. The government is running out of money. A lot of real estate developers are going bankrupt, right? Now, think twice. Because if the Chinese government will really push against the wall and they cannot solve their problem internally and they continue to borrow money from outside, continue to expand, but they just don't have a lot of resources to continue to grow internally and people continue to struggle, what can they do to divert the attention of the citizen of China? What is a better way to divert people's struggle and divert people's attention from the struggling economics to wage a war? Because if they start a war, right, everyone has to be united. Now they create a common enemy. They can create a story that, hey, instead of fighting among ourselves or potentially having a revolution, why don't we fight the country that is across the sea that's taking away all our resources and that's putting tariffs on us, so that's why we're not doing well. And if you guys think more carefully, if you guys are from Canada or US, technically this is happening in Canada right now. Right, for the past 10 years, the economy in Canada has been struggling, but not a lot of people, at least the mainstream media, has been posting anything about this. But whenever the US has put on any tariff on Canada, the mainstream media is posting all of this, right? And in my opinion, is really diverting our attention. Yeah, worry about all these international news is very important, but it really does not fundamentally change our everyday life. China could be using the similar tactics as well. And if any of you guys have been paying attention to the news, you'll most likely see all of the Chinese news that's posted in Canada and mostly US are very negative. And when I was in China about half a year ago, right, all the news I watched about US, China is a different case. They control the media more strictly than any of the Western country. You will see that the news they post is actually all mostly negative news about the US as well. So they're both shitting on each other. Really, what good does it do, honestly, right? Besides having this great view to enjoy. Small swan there. Oh, shouldn't he diving his head in the water? Oh, there we go. It comes up. There we go. That's a buddy there. Now, enough of this rant. I know there's a lot of smart cookies in the audience, so I wanted to hear what you guys think. Let me guys know in the comments section below. Did I miss anything? Or is there anything you guys want to add? Let me know in the comment section. Now, let's talk about the top 10 wealthiest men in the world who has lost billions in 2025 alone. I feel like Elon Musk has been running Tesla, kind of like running his Twitter. He bets on robo-taxi. He's doing a lot of great things. Bringing the human to Mars and all those good stuff. He forgot about the tariff and the tanking EV sales. Even the founder of LV, Bernard Arnault realized that the rich people are cutting back on their spending on the $4,000 purse. And the luxury demand dwindles and makes all these made in France products feels more like price for Mars. Enough of those wealthy people losing money in 2025. Let's talk about the GOAT and the legend, Warren Buffett, right? He's running his portfolio like the tortoise who's beating out the hype rabbits. And his old school value investing still working with an extra of I told you so. But personally, I think that for the drop since the beginning of 2025 of anywhere between 10 to 30%, it's still not enough adjustment to justify that all these blue chip stocks or even growth stock had doubled in value over the past year, whereas their true growth has been anywhere between 10 to 30%. So I still think there's more adjustment that's coming, and that's why Warren Buffett is kind of like, just wait, I'm not spending all my money yet. Now, does that mean that you cannot start buying some indexes and all that? Of course, you can start buying and cost average down, but just don't spend all your money all in one place or all in one day just when you saw a big 7% drop. I do have a lot of money invested, but at the same time, I do have some cash sitting on the sideline, a lot of line of credit. I really do think that, since there's a lot of uncertainty in the market, people might be losing jobs, business are really impacted by these tariffs. I think it will be a good time to free up some of your cash, right? If you have any hiding underneath your bed. Or now's a good time where your business is still in a good standing and go to the banks and open up as much line of credit as you can, because you never know when you're gonna need it. And when you don't need it, the bank will come knock on your door and want to lend me the money, at least in my case. But when you really need it, the bank will refuse to help you. If you guys like today's video and find any value, make sure you guys like this video and subscribe. It would greatly help out the channel, and I'll see you guys in a few days. Okay, that's 5 again. Let's see the biggest one. So yeah.